What's going on, everybody? Steve here today. This time I'm doing a shoe review. I have in my hand the ASICS Skateboarding Vic NBD low top. Obviously you can see it's a cupsole model. I picked this up actually a couple months ago and just recently started skating it within the last week or two. And I'm going to take you through the shoe, show you some things that I like about it, some things I don't really like about it, and talk about it. But before I do, I just will say that if you're not familiar with ASICS, it's a Japanese sportswear company. Originally, I think they made like running shoes and things like that, but it's been around since like the 60s or 70s. But they got into skateboarding within the last couple of years. I think originally they were just selling skate shoes in Japan. And then about a year and a half ago or so, they took it internationally and built out a global skate team, I guess you could say, and have been making some really cool designs ever since. But the thing that ASICS is really good at is making sure that the soles of their shoes have a lot of padding. They use good technology, super comfortable shoe overall. But it is not a core skate brand, so if you're looking for something that's more core in that regard, ASICS is probably not the company for you. It's more in that same category as Nike, Adidas, things like that. So with that said, let me take you through this shoe in detail and specifics. All right, so obviously this is the top looking down on the skate shoe, and a couple things that I really want to point out with this particular model. First of all is just kind of the level of padding throughout the entire shoe. There is like a padded collar throughout, and it does have kind of a hard plastic piece in here in the ankle area to kind of keep your foot in place. So a decent amount of structure here to really keep this particular skate shoe together. And I will say that from a sole perspective, like I said, it's a cup sole, but you can kind of see the drop. So there is a taller padded area around the heel, and it gets progressively thinner and shorter as you move forward towards the toe. So what that means is that there's actually a fair amount of foam in the midsole, so inside of it, in between the outsole and the insole, that keeps you protected from heel bruises. But that foam goes away when you get down to the toe area. So if I'm being honest about how I feel about that as an older skater, I like to have more padding around the ball of my foot, closer to the toe, and this shoe doesn't have it. So that's one of the biggest drawbacks. But needless to say, when we look at the entire shoe from an upper perspective as well as the outsole, a couple things stand out. One, the cupsole itself has really durable rubber material around here. Like, I found that this shoe is holding up really well from a flick perspective. I think the rubber here is a bit harder than what you find on other companies' shoes. I definitely think it's harder than like Vans and New Balance, maybe comparable to Nike, but overall really rugged outsole, which is something that I appreciate and like. The toe cap itself is interesting because you've got suede leather on the outside part where you would flick, and then on the inside part you actually have mesh, so it gives you quite a bit of breathability, which right now for me doesn't matter because it's wintertime, but in the summer I would definitely appreciate this a lot. I will say that this toe piece, designed to kind of mimic almost like a runner toe, it's a little bit weird because you do have a difference in just this toe part sticking out on top of your flick area. So for me, like, I tend to flick my 360 flips around this kind of zone, and it can affect 360 flips a little bit, but not enough for me to really notice. The stitching itself has kind of just worn out already, but I'm not really sure what the purpose of this stitching is other than maybe to provide some internal structure. But I have not had any problems with this blowing out or causing any kind of issues. I do expect at some point in time this like little ASICS pattern that's made out of leather here that will blow out on my left foot. I'm a regular footed skater, and this will probably not look as good as it does out of the box. But needless to say, I think the toe cap is pretty well designed and durable. Not a lot here in terms of material, which remains to be seen how it holds up over time. But overall, I haven't had any issues from a performance perspective, nor have I had issues with like laces wearing out yet. So overall, I think that's pretty well constructed. And like I said, the mesh part on the interior does add some breathability and some flexibility. So I do like that thought given to how you have suede on the outside to really protect the shoe and perform well when you're trying to do flip tricks and other tricks. And then on the inside, that breathability. So it's a nice kind of balance of fashion and function with skateboarders in mind. Now, I will say that ASICS is kind of known for its technology and padding, drawing a lot from like its experience making running shoes. And this, I've worn plenty of ASICS running shoes before. This is basically an identical material. I think this might be ortholite or something very comparable, but it does provide a decent amount of padding as a stock insole, so I'd be happy with that. And there's also some breathability there as well, but nothing too interesting about this. Not a lot of like ankle support in this either, but that's okay. Overall, it's just a pretty standard stock insole. But like I said, I mean, if we peek down in here in the interior, this part where the heel is, this does have padding in the midsole. Like there's foam right here. But if I got further towards the toe box, the padding goes away. So it definitely feels like, for me, again, as an older skater, I feel a little bit sore in the ball of my foot, where I'm particularly like when I'm pushing after longer skate sessions. So in an ideal world, I would like to have foam from heel to toe, but I think for this particular model, they're being very intentional about not having that in here and keeping the price a little bit lower than their higher end Japan Pro model. So this actually compares a bit more to like the New Balance 440 or the Westgate 508 models, which only have heel padding and not padding in the midsole towards the ball of your foot. Also, like the Alexis Sablone Converse is like that, and a few other shoes. So unfortunately, if you're looking for toe to heel padding and you're an older skater who really wants that, this shoe is probably not for you. But if you're looking just for that heel padding and you want a cup sole, maybe you'll want to consider this particular shoe. Okay, so that basically does it for the overview of this particular shoe. A couple other things I want to mention though, like I did have to size down for this particular one. Normally I wear an 11 in Nike and New Balance, 11 in Adidas. I wear 11.5 in Vans, and I actually got a 10.5 in this shoe. So it does tend to run big. I don't know if that is factory specific or just the brand in general, but something to keep in mind if you're ordering this offline and, or excuse me, you're ordering this online and you haven't put this on before, you might want to size down just because these tend to run large. But overall, I like the shoe in general. Relatively happy with the purchase. I will say, due to the lack of foam in the ball of the foot area, I'm not going to get this shoe again, but I would probably rate this maybe 4 out of 5 stars if we're doing a star rating. Seems like it's well designed, well thought through, nice colorway as well, and I'd probably recommend it if it meets kind of what you're looking for in terms of features. If you have any questions about the ASICS Vic NBD shoe, just drop them in the comments and I'll be happy to do my best to give my perspective on them. Otherwise, there's other shoe reviews that I've done on my channel that you can check out, and you can stay tuned for more reviews skate park tours, other things I might be coming out with this year. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.